guys, it's Gamer Ahmer here. So today I wanted to talk about some awesome video game console carrying cases. Now some of these are actually rental cases. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the different ones that I have in my collection and some of the ones that I've seen over the years. So let's go ahead and check them out. We'll talk about this Turbo Grafx-16 console carrying case that I have in my collection. Now this one was made for the Turbo Grafx-16 and the CD add-on set that went with this console, and this goes ahead and fits the Turbo Grafx-16 console in here along with the CD add-on, which I do not have in my collection. And there's plenty of room for some cords right there and this actual controller that you could use for the Turbo Grafx-16. So this was a neat little carrying case that I actually found when I bought my Turbo Grafx-16 set. So this is not one of the rental cases that you may have seen for the Turbo Grafx-16, but this is still a neat little carrying case that I found when I purchased this system. And this one is still pretty durable. Now, it's pretty difficult to find these cases right here, and they do actually make a Turbo Grafx-16 rental case in the same style box right here that has a foam insert inside of the case, and it's a little bit more durable for those who may have actually wanted to rent this system back from Blockbuster and other various rental stores back in the day. Now moving on to this Sega rental case right here. This one was actually made for the Sega Genesis Model 1 console, and you can go ahead and fit the cords that you would need to actually play this console, and a few controllers would fit in this case. And this was a pretty durable case that Blockbuster and other rental stores had back in the day. So if a game came out and you didn't actually have the system, or you didn't have the system just yet, you could go ahead and rent one of these systems from Blockbuster and Hollywood Video back in the day, and you could go ahead and carry this whole case out to help protect it as if you had the original box for the system. A lot of places didn't actually have those boxes. They would put them in these durable cases because one day out in the rain would completely damage the original box. So they had to make these pretty sweet rental cases, which would help when someone wanted to rent these systems. So this one I recently added to my collection. It says Sega right here, and it's a pretty standard black rental case. It says lift here. And then of course it has this foam imprint right here. So of course the top part is extra padded, and then the bottom part would fit a Model 1 Sega Genesis in there. So the system would go right here. You'd have various cords right here. You'd have the actual plug end part right there. And then you could fit a couple controllers right here, which would help protect this for the wear and tear of transporting this from Blockbuster back to your house. So this was definitely a great option. And I believe that I've rented a few of these over the years. As growing up, I didn't have my own consoles, and when I did start getting the consoles, it was in the Nintendo 64 era. So of course my parents actually rented a couple of these consoles, and I played them a lot at my family members' houses and my friends' houses that actually owned the systems. But these were great for back in the day when you couldn't afford those systems, or maybe you couldn't get your hands on one right away, so you would rent these and rent a few games with the system itself. So these are pretty rare to find nowadays, just because the stores only had a couple of these in stock. So there would be a couple consoles floating around for rent, and they would have a couple of these cases per each Blockbuster store or Hollywood Video or certain rental stores that actually got these cases. And of course, over the years, many collectors have sought after these, as they are a pretty cool piece of history right here in the video game industry. And I was lucky enough to find this one just the other day for a great deal. So I'll have to find a Sega Genesis Model 1 console that I can go ahead and put in here and make this complete. And then of course up next we have this one that I've actually had in my collection for quite some time now. So this one is the Sega Genesis 32X rental case, and this one I actually found a little while back, and it was in pretty good shape for a great deal, so I had to add it to my collection. So this one would be after the Sega Genesis, and this was the 32X module that you could go ahead and place in your Sega Genesis, and you can play those add-on games for the Sega Genesis. And this one was definitely a pretty sweet addition because a lot of people didn't purchase that add-on system, as there weren't too many games issued for the Sega 32X. So in case you wanted to try it out and you already had your hands on a Sega Genesis, you could rent this 32X module right here. And if we just open up this case, you'll notice that it looks very similar to the other one, and it has this top protective foam right here, and then there are a couple different spots right here. We have this Sega Genesis 32X module right here, and then of course there would be various places to put the cords and the extra parts that you would need for the system to add on top. So this is definitely a pretty sweet case. And of course these ones, I haven't seen too many of them over the years, but of course it's always great to find these in very great shape with all of the little clips on here, as I'm sure over the years a lot of them have been damaged due to the amount of people actually renting them out over the years. So this is definitely a pretty sweet one in my collection. And then of course this one right here. So this one is a little bit different than some of the other cases. Instead of having which system it is right here on the front of the case, it actually says Travel Master Southern Case. So I've seen a couple different styles of these ones over the years, and actually this one is one of the more uncommon ones that I've seen over the years, as a lot of these cases were generic and they would fit Nintendo 64 consoles and other various systems in them. But this one I actually picked up when I bought this pretty sweet Panasonic 3DO system. So it fits perfectly right in here on its side, as the different cords will go right here. And then of course when you lift it up, you'll notice that there are some spots for the actual controllers to go underneath of it, and there's plenty of room for all the cords that you would need for this system. And of course they are same stylings because they have this foam piece on top to go ahead and help protect the system. And this is definitely a pretty sweet one because I haven't seen too many of these over the years. I've only seen another one posted after I picked this one up, so that is definitely pretty sweet, as a lot of these ones actually had Nintendo 64 ones and other ones in here, but obviously the controllers and the console fit in here perfectly, so this one was made just for that system. Now, as you can tell, these cases are quite large and bulky, and they have these pretty durable handles on top, and it's this hard plastic right here, but it's filled with all of this different foam to go ahead and protect the consoles and the controllers that you could rent at various rental places over the years, such as Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. So these are definitely pretty sweet to add to anyone's collection. Now, I would love to add a NES one to my collection, as those ones are in a red plastic case, which is definitely pretty awesome, and that one looks pretty sweet. I haven't actually seen one of those for sale over the years, but I'm sure I could find one if I looked a little bit harder. I've also seen Nintendo 64 ones, where they're just the plain black style, and then on the front they have the Nintendo 64 logo. I've also seen the Virtual Boy. I've even seen a pretty sweet Atari one over the years, so that one would be pretty awesome to have too, as that one is a lot older and definitely great for the history of video games and the beginnings of these rental cases here. Now, there are some other pretty cool ones too for the Sega consoles. There's one that has the Sega Genesis and Sega CD all in one, and the entire front of the case has a large sticker on it that says Sega CD. So that one's definitely pretty sweet, as some of these I've actually seen missing the artwork on the front, and the little stickers are in very bad shape. And I've seen plenty that have been busted up. Seen several for the PlayStation era. So these are just definitely pretty sweet, and they're pretty cool to add in anyone's collection. They look pretty neat when they're opened up and the contents are complete in here, as it kind of gives that nostalgia to back in the day when you could rent these systems at your local Blockbuster or Hollywood Video. So these are definitely pretty awesome to find, and I was lucky to find all of these for a great deal in my collection, and they're definitely pretty sweet, as I really cherish these for the history of video games. So let me know which ones you have seen over the years, and which ones you have in your collection, and which ones I should add in mine. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my other videos, and stay tuned for more.